Hi, I'm Claudia Zelazny, Director of Lifestyle Programming at Legacy Performance Center in Dallas. And I'm talking with Brandon Pollard, who is one of the founders of the Texas Honeybee Guild. He presented information tonight for a group of our clients about being the bridge for truth in agriculture and some very interesting things. But first I want to let them know a little bit about you. In 1996, Brandon was one of the first college class that was actually drafted by the MLS, and came to Dallas to play soccer here, and retired fairly early, but
That's what they say, at least.
That's what they say. So tell me how you got into beekeeping, because that's kind of a leap from the soccer field.
Yeah, I guess there's probably a bit of a story attached to that. I was actually in my apartment, and it was just a really beautiful day. I had the windows open and door open and let the breezes blowing through, and I was cooking something in the kitchen, and all of a sudden, it was probably October, because bees aren't usually doing this in other months, but bees just started to come into the kitchen, and it was just one of those moments where you're like, something's different.
Did it scare you?
No, it didn't scare me. It was just one of those moments where, you realize that something is a bit different, and it's, they're kind of like a note taken type thing, but it was one of those where it didn't just happen that day. It was kind of over a successive period of days, and it's kind of continued to happen where the bees just started to come into the kitchen. And so it was almost kind of like one of these auspicious callings or something where, I think the bees, came and found me. It wasn't like I went and found them.
So an epiphany and a
Yes.
very spiritual experience.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who taught you to be a beekeeper? How do you learn
Well,
that?
it's interestingly enough, the people that lived diagonally upstairs from me they were graduates of the same university that I went, University of Virginia. And they had been very good friends. They had followed my career at Virginia, and they were very excited for me to come to play with the Dallas Burn because they were volunteers for the Dallas Burn at the time. So they kind of took me under their wing as soon as I got into the Dallas area, just being a little, whippersnapper in the 20-something. So anyway, they were extremely good friends and knew that I had this very recent fascination with honeybees. And my birthday was coming up, and it was pretty amazing. The Cotton Bowl is in Fair Park, and so during the State Fair of Texas, sometimes the games would be during the fair period. And so my friend that lived diagonally upstairs from me, he was in line at will call to get his pass so he could get onto the state fairgrounds because there was a game that day. And he just so happened to be right in line with this gentleman who, John Talbert, who is my beekeeping mentor, and he, during the fair, we have an observation hive that we take care of throughout the fair. As people come and they come to the Food and Fiber Pavilion and they see some of what is a part of agriculture. And so he just struck up a conversation with this gentleman, and through that conversation, it got me a membership to the Collin County Hobby Beekeepers Association, which I very soon after got my little membership pass. And as soon as I found out that I was a member of this beekeeping club, of course I went to the very next meeting, and they had a beekeeping class that they offered through the club. And this was right about the time when I was meeting my wife Susan, and we both took the class and just fell head over heels for the honeybees.
So are you still learning?
Always learning. I think if you stop learning, then something's wrong. So every time I go into the beehive, I learn something new.
And you said in your presentation tonight that there are less beekeepers now than when you started.
Yes.
Why do you think that is?
Maybe not so much. Maybe not when we started. I like to think that we started about a decade ago, and maybe about 5 years ago, it came more of a full-time thing for us. But generally speaking, from the broad spectrum, I think the numbers of beekeepers have been declining. But I like to think that since we've been involved in our advocacy and education, that we're turning that around a little bit. The beekeeping industry is just wrought with the industrial agricultural complex, the chemicals that we're putting onto the hives, the genetically modified crops. there's lots of challenges facing the beekeeping industry and bees in general. So being that the case, it's a very unappealing thing to get into when you look at all the challenges facing the beekeepers. But at the same time, you know, with that and with the big loss of honeybees and with a lot of them disappearing, I think there's a lot of people that want to help. And so whether that means people just planting something or planting a garden, or whether that means they're just going to their local markets and supporting their local beekeepers, or perhaps in the most wonderful case where they actually learn how to keep bees and keep bees for themselves.
Are you mentoring anyone?
Yeah, we do. We actually, fortunately, we have a part of our zip code honey and part of putting bees on other people's property. One of the things is, you know, we like to you know, own the bees and just control the first part of the people getting used to having bees there. And of course, you know, everybody wants to be involved, whether it's, you know, they want to put on the veil and the gloves and get the smoker out and all that kind of stuff. There's some people that just like to look at them from their window, and there's some people that really like to get the boxes, pop the boxes open and pull the frames out and really get there, you know, get in there. So we have a micro apiary that's over by White Rock Lake, and it was really wonderful to have our first sponsor of one of our bee sanctuaries. Actually, she has now been through her first year of beekeeping. So we are a guild, so we're a support group for beekeepers, so we're always available by, you know, emails and phone calls, so we're constantly just visiting with people at beekeeping clubs and things like that, just kind of loosely. We don't have any formal meetings or anything like that, but of course we're very picky about, you know, who is in our Adopt a Bee program, so we think our bees deserve the utmost.
So you vet them?
So yes, it's a very strict and thorough vetting process.
Well, if you're interested in being vetted, we'll give you some information about how to get in touch with Brandon at the end of the clip. Thank you.